Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Miran, and I will deliver a presentation on the research outcome of the medical research team of Hanmaum Science Institute. Our medical research team has Jang as a mentor and Jonghun National University Nursing Professor Emeritus Kim Joohyun, dentist Kim Jonghun, oriented doctors Kim Miji and Junyeop, and I am a researcher who is working on the research on the oncology. And today I will give a presentation under the title of Mind-to-Mind Connection for Healing Cancer. In fact, I didn't have the goal of studying cancer in the first place. I wanted to go to medical school because I felt very sad and bad for those who suffer from cancers. That's why I wanted to go to medical school, but I couldn't go to medical school because of my low score, and I tried several times, and I ended up majoring in bioengineering. And once I got entered into the university, I started my cancer research, and while studying at university, I actually was pretty occupied with my study and the dissertation work. While working on my research and classes for my PhD, then one day I went to a youth practice group retreat, and usually I just prayed for better score or my thesis, successful thesis writing, but actually I happened to have a heart to pray that all lives, not just me, but all lives would live without pain. And then I went to the United States, and I actually did my research at the University of Chicago. And I got the notice that there will be a special youth practice retreat program in the Chicago branch of Hanmaum Sun Center. And while heading toward the Sun Center to participate in the youth practice group, I just had the mind that I didn't actually want to go there. But I just changed my perspective and I changed my mind. And at the time, I started praying to Joohyun that I want to really know what actually make the cancer cells happen in the first place. So I practiced rigorously to find the answer to my question. And also I observed myself praying for the answer to my question about the origin of cancer, and I just found myself that I am complaining about not having the answer to my question. And finally, I got my answer to the question that I actually pondered over for a long time. And the answer was very simple. It's because I just failed to return to Hanmaum, or kind of a fundamental self. After finding the answer or had the answer, I didn't enjoy the happiness of having the answer because I just had another daunting task of proving that answer in the field of science. And for me, actually, the research in the laboratory and the teachings of Sun Master Jang felt so far away. And it made me get lost. But whenever actually that happens, I read the teachings of Sun Master Jang, and I just try to tell myself that I shouldn't stick to myself and my study, because it just made me think about my answer, or rather my study on cancer origin and myself, two separate things. So I try to entrust everything to my Joohyun with a firm belief that Joohyun will take care of my research. And this is what my junior colleagues actually drew for me when I conducted research at the University of Chicago. And while pondering over the question that I had in my mind about the origin of cancer, I came across this Dharma teaching of Master Daeheng. She said that actually when we conduct the research, we should conduct the research to the state that we can say we studied something with all our heart, and actually the results came out exactly as I wish they should be in the material world. The main goal is to entrust all the research to Joohyun and let Joohyun do all the research there. And if I can return to one mind, not two, then I can communicate with everything, including cancer cells. And after that, I just started pondering over my goal of having the answer to the origin of mind as I grow tree and water it so it can sprout new leaves one by one. Today, I would like to talk about my thesis, the work of the medical research team of Hanmaum Science Center in the order of understanding of cancer, connection of mind and body, one mind, mind-to-mind connection, practice of mind connection and integration of mind and materials. First of all, let us talk about the difference between normal cells and cancer cells to understand cancer. The lifespan of cells is different for each organ of our body. For example, the shortest lifespan is that of gastrointestinal cells, and it is 2 hours and 30 minutes. Some organs have a longer lifespan, such as several days or several decades. When these normal cells reach the end of their lifespan or are damaged, they die by themselves through a mechanism called apoptosis. However, for various reasons, cancer cells do not die, repeating cell division indefinitely without apoptosis, as you can see on the right side of the slide. As you can see on the graph on the right, the horizontal axis represents the number of cancer cells divisions, and the vertical axis represents the mass of cancer cells. One cancer cell divides 10 times and becomes 1,000 cells, and they become 1 million cells at 20 divisions, 1 billion cells at 30 divisions, and 1 trillion cells at 40 divisions, and their mass becomes 1 kilogram. And they just keep dividing, and they never die. And there have been many innovative surgery in methodology, radiation therapy, and several generations of anti-cancer drugs to inhibit the growth of these cancer cells or to remove cancerous tissue. Moreover, the CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing technology has been developed in modern science to fully insert or delete genes. There also is a prospect that the medical system will change dramatically in the future with the application of AI technology. Despite tremendous advancement in the medical technology, as you can see, cancer is still the #1 cause of death here in Korea. So if you take a look at the right side of this graph, you can see that the vertical axis stands for the number of deaths per 100,000 people. And since 2083, for the past 40 years up until 2020, cancer has been the #1 cause of the deaths here in Korea. And as you can see, we can find increasing number of deaths from cancer. Then we can ask ourselves why cancer is still uncured in many cases despite the great advancement in the medical technology. We still subconsciously We see everything we see and experience separate from ourselves. The same is true when we look at the cancer cells. With the thought of how we can kill cancer cells, we try chemo injections, irradiation, and cut them out with the surgery. Of course, those measures can help to some extent, but they are not fundamental solution to cancer. That is why we need a new paradigm with regard to the healing of cancer. So actually, we need to understand that mind would be the fundamental basis of our lives rather than focusing on material or the visible world. And now let us think about whether our minds are connected with our bodies. Why don't you take a look at these pictures? There are people who are busy working, those who are sitting on the lawn and spending their miserable days, and mothers smiling at their sleeping babies, and the medical staff are taking care of patients and examining students. And sometimes we get passed off and fight with other people. There is a picture like that. And also we can see some people who greet other people by shaking hands, and Olympic athletes who are passionate about their goals. And also the Koreans who jump out on the street and shout and cheer for the victory of the Korean soccer team. And then what makes them do what they do? Yes, the force that moves our body is our mind. So our body is visible, however, our mind is not visible. But what moves our visible body is our mind, which is invisible. So our daily life itself is the proof that the invisible mind moves our visible body. Now let us take a quick look at how our body works. Our body consists of numerous cells, and as you can see, each cell has chromosomes in its nucleus. If you look closely at these chromosomes, the DNA, the genetic material exists. And in the cell, which is the basic functional and the structural unit of living things, in addition to the nucleus where DNA is, numerous organelles are working together. The substance that performs the function of the cell is protein, which is created from DNA through the process of transcription and translation. Here we can see that actually the invisible mind moves the visible body. And we actually review that the mind is the force that moves the body in our daily life. And then, can the mind change the proteins that are parts of the body, or can the mind change the genes or cells that are part of the body, and even cancer cells?
이러한 질문에 대해서 이제 조금 이해가 되시고 납득이 되실 수 있게
let me help you understand it better, and I would like to tell you about the scientific research results.
이 논문은 유방암 환자에서
let's take a look at what changes that the mind made to immune cells.
보시면 12주 이내 즉 암
The
치료를
horizontal axis stands for
이상된 환자를 대상으로 살펴봤습니다.
the patient group who actually completed their breast cancer treatment within 12 weeks. And actually we have two groups, a group of patients who completed their breast cancer treatment within 12 weeks and longer than 12 weeks. So here there is limbs, and also there are subcells that are in charge of immunofunctions. There is NK cells and B cells. So now I'd like to talk about what kind of changes made in the number of cells in our blood. As you can see, actually all these immune cells and their counts increased in the patient group who actually completed their breast cancer treatment longer than 12 weeks ago. It tells us that our body has a capability to recover itself after it is damaged by certain medical treatment, and this is a mindfulness stress reduction and therapy. And also, this is a stress reduction program or body and body training method.
그룹과 아닌 그룹에 있어서
So we just conducted, or I'm just quoting the research which is conducted on the impact of MBSR on two different patients group, particularly the breast cancer patients who have already completed treatment. Within 12 weeks and after that 12 works. And let us take a look at the count of T helper cell. Actually, T helper cell cannot kill the antigens. However, it can help other immune cells. And also, it can help with B cells or NKE cells. And also, if you take a look at the bottom part, the result showed that the total number of lymphocytes, a type of white blood cell, which is responsible for immune function, was significantly higher in patients who spent longer than 12 weeks. And also, the cell count increased in the patient group, which actually had MBSR therapies or kind of programs. It means that our immune cells help us maintain our health, and MBSR actually can activate the function and the count of those immune cells.
그렇다면 이번에는 마음을 통해서 유전자를 조절하는 그런 증명한 논문들에서 살펴보겠습니다.
Now let us talk about how the mind can impact the genetic expressions. These are the studies on changes in gene expression through mind control, such as the MBSR and other stress reduction program. And the red-colored box is particularly the breast cancer patient group research. Mindful awareness practice maps is a meditation program developed by UCLA, and actually MAPS program is conducted to these two different patient groups. As a result of conducting MAPS on breast cancer patients, the expression of genes that induce inflammation decreased, and the expression of transcription factors that promote the expression of genes which induce inflammation decreased, while the expression of transcription factors which inhibit the expression increased. But NS-kappa-V, which cause inflammation, decreased here. And also physiological outcome was reported in this report. So if you take a look at it, you can see that there was a temporary but meaningful decrease in symptoms associated with depression and perceived stress, particularly in the patient group which had MAPS, or the mindful awareness practices. Now let me talk about how fast is the expression of these genes. The left shows the gene replication and expression rates of bacteria, and the right shows the gene replication and expression rates of animal cells, that is, cells that make up our body. The process of making mRNA from DNA is called transcription, and the process of making proteins that perform body function from mRNA is called the translation. And it takes about 10 minutes to transcribe one gene and 1 minute to make one protein. And then if you think about 24 hours a day, you can see that countless biological reactions are taking place in countless cells of our body at every moment. Through these reactions, healthy cells try to stay healthy. So actually, we can inject this fluorescent DNA material to these cells, and we can absorb the expression of these genes within 24 hours. So as you can see, there is a huge amount of genetic expression. So as I mentioned before, through these reactions, healthy cells try to stay healthy, while disease cells are either regenerated into healthy cells or just die off. In the beginning of my presentation, I asked whether our mind can change our body and our body cells or the cancer cells. So according to the scientific research that I shared with you, I believe that I can say yes to that question. And then let us think about what causes the change of the body by our mind. As a scientist, I'm curious about this kind of question and its answer. And thankfully, I found the answer in the teaching of Sun Master Daeheng. It is one mind and the connection of fundamental mind. So through this fundamental mind, our mind can change our body. Sun Master Daeheng told the patients who came to her and asked her advice. She said that if we compare life to a tree, there is a root which is a true self, and the fundamentals are connected and return to one mind. And she also said, because we put everything together in one mind, the fundamental mind of all lives, we take in and give away everything between the fundamentals. So if you take a look at this dotted line, we believe that our body and mind are different and they are separate ones, but this violet or the purple-colored ones, or the section shows that there is one mind which connects our mind with our body. So it's like a plug in an electrical cord to use the light. So Sun Master Daeheng said that the cancer cells and the doctors are not different. They are not two, but one. She said we have all the power to communicate between minds to make them one, not two. And that is the power of one mind. The light came on because the power cord in your mind and the power cord in my mind were connected together. So there is no such thing as you healed me or I made you healed. And also she emphasized the connection between different minds. We have all the power to communicate between our minds to make them one, not two, once again. And the fundamental of my mind and that of the other people's mind are connected and merged as one. And what made the light turned on. If you take a look at the left side, it was a picture taken when there was a grand Dharma talk presided by Sun Master Daeheng back in 2006. In the US, and there was a question asked by a practitioner. And actually the practitioner was a physician and he shared his experience with one of his patients. According to the patient, according to the physician, he had a patient who had constant diarrhea due to neurogenic colitis. And actually he had severe symptoms and he was having a family issue because of his disease. The doctor was well aware of the disease and actually he felt very sorry and bad for the patient and wanted to help him get better by any means. So the doctor told the patient not to rely on drugs and the doctors by 100% and rather use his own healing power in addition to drugs to have better results. And 2 years later, the patient came to the physician to thank him, saying that he recovered and cured by 100% and he completely cured and stopped taking the medicine. And after that incident, the doctor actually felt something, and the physician asked a question to Sun Master Daeheng that he would like to ask as a doctor how the invisible and untouchable mind works on the physical body and cure or improve incurable disease. And Sun Master Daeheng answered, it can happen because the connection of nothingness. You and I are one, not two. And asked him to practice Kwan.
생명의 근본 마음인 한마음을
the connection of nothingness that is invisible, but the fundamental one mind, and everything is connected with one
지금처럼
mind.
마음과 마음이 통신하는 것은 이제 큰 스님께서 말씀을
So the
하셨는데,
mind-to-mind
선사께서 말씀을
communication
하셨는데,
was
이것이
taught
또
by
이제 이
Sun Master
마음과 마음이
Daeheng.
소통할 수 있다는 것을 어느 정도 가능성이 있구나.
And
연구의
also
가능성이
now we are
있다는
aware
것을
of the
보여주는
possibility
논문이
of
있었습니다.
mind-to-mind
왼쪽 그림을
communication, and I would like to share a
5,000
scientific
마일
research
떨어진
which
그
also
한명은
validates
인도,
the possibility
한명은 프랑스에
of
있는
mind-to-mind
그 과연 메시지를 주고받을
communication.
수 있는지에 대한 그런 조사를
There
한
is a
논문입니다.
study which
그래서
made
이
important
조사를 하기
discoveries in
위해서
exploring whether
신경과학자나
the mind-to-mind communication is possible. It was
모여서 이렇게 이 연구를 시행을
the
했는데요.
research conducted on the
그
possibility of
결과
direct
서로
brain-to-brain
말하거나,
communication. It was conducted
직접
by
써서
an
전달을
international team of
이렇게
neuroscientists.
하거나, 이런 어떠한 그런
And they
것도
actually
없이 메시지를
use
서로의
various
생각을
neurotechnologies to
주고받았다고
send
합니다.
messages
그래서
over the
이게 더 놀라운
internet between the
것은 이
scalps of two people more than
논문에서
5,000 miles
디스커션에서
apart
이분들이
without
하는
the involvement
얘기가
of motion
이
or
결과는
peripheral sensory
뇌에서의
systems.
뇌로가 아닌
This study
마음에서
showed
마음으로의
that people's
전달이라고
thoughts
얘기해야
can be
된다.
non-invasively
왜냐하면
communicated
그
even
두
at a
사람이
great
있을 때,
distances
즉
without speaking or
소통의
writing.
주체가
And in the paper, the authors
각각
wrote that
있는데
what the
그
study revealed is
주체의
not
의식이 관여하는
brain-to-brain
것이기 때문에
transfer,
이것은
but
뇌에서
mind-to-mind
뇌로가 아닌
transfer.
마음으로의 전달이다라고 얘기를 해야 한다.
That's what the authors of the paper said about the research. So it's not brain-to-brain transfer, but mind-to-mind transfer. And after reading that paper, I just validated the possibility of mind-to-mind communication. And also, I saw the glimpse of hope that actually I can validate and prove the possibility of mind-to-mind communication in the field of science. So far, we have learned from the teachings of Sun Master Daeheng about the way to lead changes in the body by connecting our minds. I hope that we'll all become able to practice it as the way that Sun Master Daeheng said. Let me share my personal stories. I got really stressed while I was studying at my university, and also I had a very irregular daily routine. And suddenly, I developed a skin disease, and it was very itchy, and even the slightest irritation to the skin made it swell a lot. So my sister actually wrote a word on my wrist because it just swelled like this. So I went to see a doctor and asked about my symptoms, and I got the prescription. When I saw the doctor, I asked the doctor, how long do I need to take the medicine to make all these symptoms go away? And the doctor said casually, or rather nonchalantly, that it wouldn't go away. I was shocked because if I take the medicine, actually my symptoms would go away. And while leaving the doctor's office, I thought, what kind of doctor he is, saying such a thing to his patient. But now, on hindsight, I believe that that doctor was my teacher to let me know the right way to reach one practice and Hanmaum, or the one mind. So actually I decided to fix it by myself through one practice. And try to rely on Junyeop. As a result, the symptoms almost disappeared, and I got cured to a great extent. But sometimes they come back and go away as if they are testing my mind when I am under a lot of stress. But I'm not fooled anymore. And also, let me share another personal story of mine. This year, I suddenly saw something floating in front of my eyes, and I went to see a doctor because the eyes or the visions are very important for my study. And the doctor diagnosed it myodysopsia. And The doctor said that it wouldn't go away even though I took medicine. Actually, it reminded me of the incident of my skin, the disease that I had like 10 years ago. So this time I wasn't fooled and I decided to fix it by myself. And also there is another story about my grandma. She is over 80 years old and she's taking almost 10 pills on a daily basis due to various diseases. And I felt so bad for her, but I couldn't actually take some of those medicines out randomly. And I felt bad because I know the side effects of all those medicines because I studied medicine. But I changed my perspective based on the teachings of Sun Master Taehang. Actually, all those pills and the medicines were developed by those scientists and the researchers who actually wanted to help patients. So I believe that if I believe in Joohyun and if I believe that Joohyun will do the right thing and that it will go in a desirable way. But I hope that my mother, grandma, would actually reduce her pills to 1 or 2. So that there are a lot of difficulties that we face while we live our life. But still, we should have a firm belief in Joohyun and what Sun Master Taehang taught us. I believe that there is a need for a change in the paradigm for curing cancer in the future. And mind-to-mind science based on one mind is a paradigm that sees all beings as ourselves with eyes of love and compassion. Just because it goes through the dimension of the mind, it does not mean that cancer will unconditionally disappear miraculously, nor does it mean that we should exclude medical treatment. While working on active treatment, we can practice mind-to-mind connection, seeing the whole process as one mind. In the face of cancer is fear and pain. Following economic problems and repeated treatment and recovery cycles, if we can connect our mind to one mind, the fundamental mind of life will be able to gain not only health from cancer, but also health of life and freedom itself. Sun Master Taehang said that actually we need to connect the visible with invisible, and also we should believe it rather than knowing it. So I hope that in the future we can have the era of evolving together with cancer cells through one mind after putting an end to chasing war against cancer. So I would like to take this opportunity once again to extend my appreciation to the staff members of my medical research team at Hanmaum Science Institute and Venerable Master Cheonggam. Thank you very much. I love you.
즐거운 강의 감사히 잘 들었습니다.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed your presentation, Dr. Jang. Even though we are lagging behind our original schedule, but since this is our last session for the day, we would like to entertain a few questions if there are any.
네, 선생님, 재밌는 연구 결과여서 정말 즐겁게 잘 들었습니다. 그런데 내용 자체가 기존 연구 결과의 검토인 리서치 페이퍼의 느낌이 좀 많이 들어가지고 좀 궁금한 게 있는데요. 저도 이 주제와 이 내용에 대해서는 충분히 공감하고 가능성은 분명히 있다. 우리가 그래서 스님께서도 연구를 하세요라고 말씀을 하신 거라고 저는 그렇게 알고 있습니다. 그 입장에서 보면은
And that's what Sun Master actually told us, that we need to study and research the possibility of mind-to-mind communication. So I'm just wondering whether there is any practical clinical research on this possibility of mind-to-mind communication conducted by medical research team of Hanmaum Science Center. What do you think? Of course, we haven't conducted any clinical research on the possibility of mind-to-mind communication or any endocrinological research either. Of course, there was a research conducted on brainwave-related sector or the area, and it will have a bigger impact if we conduct some clinical research on the possibility of mind-to-mind communication. However, we
그리고 지금 저희가 이제
haven't been able to afford to
내용이 나왔던 것은
conduct such kind of
이러한
clinical
연구를 우리도 이
research
정도의
or
연구를
the
할수 있지
trials. But what I can tell you
않겠느냐.
is that
그래서
we
이
have
연구를
reached
우리도
the
주인공
state
방법을 해서
where
이
we see the
연구, 이와 같은
possibility
연구를 한번
of
해보자라는 얘기는 이제 나왔었습니다.
any potential research on mind to mind
이와 같은
communication.
연구를
That's what we
해서
discussed
이렇게
inside of the
논문을
medical
해서,
research team of Hanmaum
지금 제가
Science
이 논문을
Institute.
사용해서 여러분들께
And on the basis of the research or the study that I presented to you, we will conduct the follow-up research. And also next time, I believe that we'll be able to provide more practical research
저는 충분히 가능하다라고
outcome.
생각하기
Next
때문에
time we have this kind of forum. And I believe that
실어드리고 싶습니다.
the
고맙습니다.
mind-to-mind and communication and the related research is feasible enough to conduct in our reality. That's
네,
why I'm
정말
asking this
다시 한번
question or
감사드립니다.
making this comment. Thank you very much,
시간이
Dr.
너무
Jang.